Hey guys, welcome back to Van Goose Gaming. I'm TF Goose here with Vendetta, and this is part 9 of our Let's Play series, focusing on building the Arcology with a total of 3 cities, I guess, what we end up putting it together here, but working pretty well so far, and this is the end game here, man. Pretty much. Look at this.
Yeah, this is going to be our final video. We finally complete the Arcology. I want to go ahead and apologize ahead of time to you guys. This is actually all of Goose's footage. I've been having some hard drive issues. I got a new solid-state hard drive, and I think I got a bad one. And prior to me trying to record this, it actually crashed and was unrecoverable. So that's pretty frustrating. Don't worry, though. I've already ordered a new solid-state hard drive. So
No
try
doubt,
to
yeah. We'll recover that problem. Oh, and by the way, too, yeah, don't freak out. Not final video, period. Just final of this particular very goal-oriented Let's Play. We wanted to, show you guys just one path that you could take to try to build the Arcology, and do it in a somewhat efficient manner, even though I certainly even had a couple of mistakes along the way that we pointed out along this little fun journey we've been on here. But we do plan on doing some more for you guys a little down the line here on SimCity. The next Let's Play we do is probably going to be kind of a, sort of a tutorial focus, I guess you might call it, on some of the more basic features of the game, just to help out some of the more new players in the community. We still get a lot of questions on sort of basic game functions and such. So we're going to do that, and then Vendetta, we wanted to do also a gambling and tourism one, right? That's the plan for later.
Yeah. I think we really want to do a gambling and tourism Let's Play series, and we're going to focus on the international airport. But before we do that, we're going to wait, and hopefully 2.0, the patch 2.0 is going to drop. The problem with trying to do it right now, is those two types particularly need to be tweaked and adjusted, so we don't want to build them up for you guys right now, because they do have the ability to be broken at a certain stage, and then we would just have to end the series well, we're done.
Right, that would totally stink. Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. So, but just to bring you guys up to speed a little bit here, if you're watching direct off of video 8 here, you might notice that things are a little bit further along. We reached a point after the last Let's Play that it was evident that essentially we'd both gotten our cities to the point where they really needed to be in order to build up and start working on the Arcology. And as that was the goal of the series, and it wasn't really about, increasing population as much, or going for these, any of the other Uber trade goals or anything. It was really just, let's see if we can get this Arcology built and do it with the electronic specialization from Vendetta City. Once we realized we were kind of there and it was just sort of a matter of time, we decided to kind of just play off camera a little bit and bring it a little closer to home. So that's why you're seeing that we're a little bit more advanced, and we're just going to kind of cut forward here a few times and talk about some stuff. I point that out right there, the crude oil. Notice that?
Yeah, that's a bug, because you don't even have oil in your city.
Yeah, exactly. I have no crude oil. I'm not exporting any. I'm not importing any. I'm not extracting any from the ground. This is entirely an ore city here in Mineroids. And for some reason, the game was saying that I had crude oil. I am importing a lot of other stuff there. Coal, I'm bringing in, and actually just bringing in some metal too, to supplement what I was already providing. And, because basically we need all three. You need alloy metals and TVs for the Arcology. And
yeah, the TV section I had already completed. I think at the end here, about 5 consumer electronics factories pumping. I had 5 or 6 processor plants, and it was really easy for me to send all those TVs necessary. So
yeah, you knocked those out in no time flat. So, and here I'm just dealing with this issue, and kind of chalk this up as a learning experience, guys. We've mentioned earlier in previous videos even that you can de-zone areas and make them so you can kind of control your population growth. And as I've mentioned a couple of other times, I'm more comfortable with the sort of middle range of population. That's just how I function a little bit better. I like keeping my RCI somewhat under control. And as, we've mentioned before, and even just recently, there are a lot of things about sort of later stage play where you can run into trouble, as far as the game not doing quite what you would expect it to do as far as workers and education levels and things like that. So I've been operating more in the middle tier, but unfortunately, when I first did that, I turned off residential zoning, but left my commercial and industrial up. And 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 what happens because of that is those things continue to increase in density, and they go along, and eventually your population can no longer support, the demands of your commercial and industrial buildings. So I started to run into this issue where I was having a lot of abandoned buildings because of no shoppers, or the no workers, that kind of thing. And although that still is an issue with the population bug, it is able to be kept under more control if you just scale your residential a little bit more closely with the commercial and industrial. So I turned residential zoning back on in a couple of areas in the city, and that corrected quite nicely over time. So, and they're right there. You see the, we got the basic requirements going for the Arcology, and it has now started to construct, which is always an excellent thing.
Yeah, something I didn't remember this from the first time we built the Arcology before we did the Let's Play series, but I forgot that once you actually had all the resources, it actually takes a little bit of time for it to build.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and that's something that you just kind of have to be prepared for. You can see me right here kind of going through and turning off all of my imports, that I don't need anymore. The coal I still kept because I was using that to make alloy. But everything else, I'm just turning back on, anything that I don't need locally there. That way I can start having profit again in the city, because I was taking a little bit of a hit just trying to import stuff and put it towards the Arcology. But it's certainly worth doing that. But you'll notice, I had some money left over. Between the two of us, we were rocking, somewhere between 15 and 20 million, I think, for this entire region. So there was no real problems with budget.
Yeah, I think at one point, because we were both in an effort to get it done faster, we were both importing metals and alloys. And at one point you did run a little low on cash, but as I had buckets of it, I just gave you like 6 million.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of, having that electronic specialization city that can really get that crazy money going. Because I had a good stockpile of cash just from my really positive RCI, but I blew through it on my imports, So again, having another city there to help out, and work together with a friend, or even just to work together between, your own individual cities while playing alone, is absolutely a great thing. And here I'm just kind of going through and checking out, the basic services of the city and trying to make sure that I'm still covering all my bases. I don't have any education in this one, but public transit still working really, really well. Anytime you see green on the number of minutes there, for the wait, that's excellent. That's what you're looking for. And traffic, I never really had too much of an issue in this city, which is strange because it looks like it's kind of a cluster of a design. But what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, but you did the really smart move there by de-zoning and really, focusing on controlling your population. That's going to be a big part of controlling traffic is, the density of your roads and de-zoning, and you played that really smart there.
I was trying, yeah. And certainly in this kind of an environment where you really don't get to use the entire map. There's a decent section up on the top left here that I can't really use. There's a lot of hilly area in the middle that I can't use just because of the steep elevation changes and such. And when you're dealing with that and you end up doing sort of a weird road design as I have here with the bay, then you really do have to control your traffic even all that much more, And I'm also, running 3 mines in this area too. That takes up space, and all the industrial or trade buildings associated with it. So you got to just be careful on that stuff. But now operating back in the green, as you just saw there, and, just kind of keeping things going, until the Arcology completes so that we can see what kind of benefit we can get from that.
Yeah, I also want to point out too, your happiness in your city is really high, and you're still rocking the 12, 11, 10 tax rate too.
Yeah, I never adjusted my taxes. That magic 12, 11, 10 is, in case if you guys don't recall, it's where you can keep the taxes before people start to get ticked. And if you raise it any higher than that, people get upset. If you go a lot lower than that, then they can get pretty happy all of a sudden, which is great. But I wasn't trying to really go for happiness. I just decided, no, I want to make money, and I just ran the city, and it ended up that people were pretty happy. So there it is. the Arcology complete jumped from 45% done to done, I guess. But you can see we're going to gain shoppers, workers, and students from this. And this essentially just turns into a giant residential complex. You know, I think of it when I first, saw the concept of this, a while back and everything. I thought of, honestly, that ship in Independence Day. Remember that movie a long time ago?
Oh, man, it's from the 90s.
Right, ages ago, right? ID4, awful, just hilarious movie. But they were transporting their entire society around in this gigantic mothership, and that's exactly what I think of when I look at this. I'm like, the whole of society lives in this thing, and just branches out from here. But I don't know, it just kind of got to me that way. So, but that's what you're going for here, and you see the little, the celebration ceremony for the region, popping off a bunch of fireworks, but one thing you may not realize is we're not done yet. You're not done. Once it's done completing, you actually still have to provide it with water, power, and people, which kind of makes sense, but for some reason, escaped my notice at the very beginning when I was first starting to build these things.
Yeah, well, I think it'd been a while since, either one of us had built this thing, and we're like, as soon as it got done, we're like, oh, we're done. Then we looked at it and we're like, oh, wait, no, we're not done.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, that's right. So it's because I don't know. I mean, a lot of folks, it seemed to me that, and even some of our folks that have been commenting for us here, have cities that they've just been playing for ages, years of in-game time playing the same city or the same region. And I'm all for that. That's great. But for me, generally speaking, I kind of play in much shorter bursts per region. I mean, that's kind of how we've done it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the game that way. I don't get as much enjoyment out of playing a single city for a long period of time. I kind of like seeing how fast I can complete a goal or get a city to a certain pop or make a certain amount of money or take a piece of land that looks like a total garbage pile, and turn it into a functional city. That's where I get. So in that respect, a lot of times I don't build the great works. But here we wanted to make that a goal and figured it would be a good one. So in that vein here, I decided to switch back over to the power, water, sewage city here, our feeder city, and see if I could help along the water needs of the Arcology, because you had said you were going to take power, if I recall.
Yeah, what I did is I had 2 fully decked out oil power plants going in my city, and I told Goose here that I would take care of power if he wanted to take care of water, just because I didn't have a lot of space to add water, but I had enough space to add power. So, again, one of the benefits there to playing with your friends is you can kind of split the workload.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And if you notice there too, though, which was kind of interesting, I noticed as soon as I got over to my city here, the Aquavolt Plains, the Arcology wasn't done building yet in this city, which I found to be very, very interesting. If you switch cities, then it might not be done yet for that city. So I actually had to wait a couple minutes here, and I, cut that part where I was actually still waiting to see the grand opening ceremony again from this city, which was kind of strange, But that's an important distinction, if you're especially if you're playing with other people, realize that server update that's going back and forth across, from Maxis and the Origin servers down to everybody's systems that's playing in the region, that might not happen at the exact same time, So for instance, right there, you just saw that the 300 megawatt power requirement was just hit. I just saw that, over there on the right, little finance investor dude there,
Yeah, your advisor.
Yeah, Suit Man, as I call him. He's got the power of Suit. But see there, the 300 megawatts power is done. So now all we really need is to get water cooking. So I was just breaking my back here trying to figure out, how do I just get this city to just pump some more water? How much more could this thing possibly need is what I'm thinking,
Right.
So I just said, all right, well, I'm going to crank down as much as I can, and I end up putting down a completely new water station, water pumping station down on the opposite side of the city here to try and meet those needs. And this is, again, that thing where you're running into this splitting of the services, across multiple sites. I'm thinking that it functions the exact same way on a great work as it does for any other city, in your region. And that is that it's an even distribution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And also, though, I think what we're seeing here is some server sync delays. like we were just talking about a little bit ago. I think it takes it a couple minutes here of actually playing in the city to properly sync up, and we're experiencing a little lag time, and Goose and I are just a little impatient. We're like, no, we want it to work right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Right now, please do it. So, and you're going to see that here as I go a little wacko, just trying to plop down like crazy amounts of water. And, I actually used up all the extra cash that I had sitting in this city, which wasn't much. But look at that, 1,553 kg of water. The Arcology only needs 120 kilogallons, and it hasn't taken it. Now, I'm almost certain, in fact, I'm basically positive that if we would have just sat here for 10 or 15 minutes and not done anything else, that it'd have worked.
Yeah, it should have been fine.
It would have been totally fine, But I was just trying to sort of kick it over the edge and see what I could do. So in the interest of doing things faster, I went and took out a quick bond right there just to try and max out this water pumping station, with a little bit more, but ended up being a little out of room, so wipe out a little bit of space as well. Yeah, this is absolutely not, the ideal way of doing this and trying to get this thing up. I basically was just seeing if I could force it into existence. You guys can certainly just wait and have a little bit of patience, and the thing will complete on its own without any trouble. It's just I was really, really, really wanting to get the thing online. I was excited to see it start, so I decided to shortcut it a little bit, but don't take my impatience as a way to play the game, please. Seriously, we're better than this. We're better people, I promise. No.
We just wanted it to be done.
Exactly. So I can see you just cranking all that power. Now take note of that right there, that 513.8 megawatts of the 300 megawatts power that's needed, and because it'll be interesting here, we flip back over to Mineroids, as I decided to come over here and maybe supply even a little water from this city, and then you'll see what happens when I go up and take a peek at it here in just a second. It seemed like the server syncing was really bad,
Yeah, it could have been the time of day we were playing. I mean, who knows with the server issues.
Yeah, I mean, you never really know, but it's just a matter of patience most of the time. But as I said, we just, keep saying we just want to get it done. But I also noticed I was having a really hard time. I really wanted to get this water station down by that little inlet right there.
Yeah.
But all that red of the additional places to plop, the expanded pumps was really bothering me, and I just could not find a really nice place to put it, that was going to be an issue. So I ended up just going right here and figuring I could go a couple more over and see if we could get it down. And it ended up working out okay. Demolished a couple of people's homes, I think if I ended up going down up the street there. But sometimes, eminent domain, you got to make decisions,
Get out, I need water.
Greater good, like you made some decisions. I think you demoed some houses in favor of, oil drilling. So
yeah.
At least mine's water.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not afraid of the bulldozer, that's for sure.
This is
Get your
true.
stuff and get out.
Hey, you know what? We just want to see things work. Say that 3 times fast. Apparently, I'm awful at talking today. What are you going to do? I am noticing here, too, I should have really played a little bit more around the space just there underneath the firehouse, just because I had some space to work with. I could have stuck a little bit more residential in there. But now, take a look at the power.
Yeah. What was happening here is I had actually run low on oil. I actually started to deal with a lot of traffic problems. It seemed like my traffic was just collapsing in my city, and I probably could have laid it out a little bit better, but that's what was going on there. My oil in my power plants was low, and when you get below 50%, it puts out 50% less output. So
yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things that since we were playing in separate cities and we were at the same time, but we were really just kind of talking over sort of text message and such here when we're actually playing, because we didn't, we generally just don't stay on live comm while we're playing. And I didn't know that at the time. So I was thinking that this was actually more server sync problem, and thinking that for some reason my Aquable Plains city was registering the power correctly, but I wasn't from this side. So I wanted to plunk down a couple more, power modules here and see if I could bring up the overall region availability power and see if that would just sort of trick the server into rechecking things and turning our Arcology on like we were hoping. And it does. It will do it here in a little bit, so as you'll see. But yeah, look at this, 19.5 million, dude. We bring down the cash, I swear.
Yeah, lots of pollution too. People love smog.
Yeah, it doesn't. Everybody lives inside in the Arcology anyway, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly. Hopefully they have some good air filters.
They better. Seriously, yeah. We've never said, people, that we design the most beautiful, clean air cities in the world. We just go for functional, and profitable is what we're really trying to go with here. But, it's now starting to increase the population. And once that ticks up just a little bit more, then the Arcology will start sending people. And that is the main goal. That's what we're really after, trying to see if you can get some more shoppers and workers. Personally, I was the biggest fan of workers because, good Lord, I want some more of those.
Right? Yeah, me too. Trying to get my hands on as many of those workers as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely the thing that plagues us still the most. And I honestly don't know if they'll ever really resolve that. I don't know. Maybe that is something that they're working on in the 2.0 patch.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it is. Yeah, and here I've just noticed that since I kind of am supplying my own power right now, my needle wasn't buried green, and I just hate that, So I just decided go ahead and peg it off, and here, still dealing a little bit with those abandoning buildings and such. So I was just sort of babysitting that a little bit, tearing some down and keeping some areas zoned and some not, to try and find the balance on my RCI again. But
something interesting right here is it's saying it needs power, but there's still population going. I think that's kind of a glitch, because it wouldn't say it needs power, and there would be nobody living there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just one of those things, again, with I think that's just a patience thing, and something you have to deal with when you realize that the Arcology exists only on the servers, just like our cities. And it has to update that information to all cities in the region at the same time. But there it is, finally. It has ticked over. And you can see it is indeed supplying shoppers, workers, students, and is steadily increasing, in its density. And that looks great. And look at the water. Like,
yeah,
water just completely jumped through the roof after not doing anything forever. It finally updates. And right there is where you can realize, oh, duh, if I would have just sat there for a little bit, it wouldn't have been a thing. But the big workers increase there, 53,000 more workers. That's fantastic. And that's just sending those to my city. Electronica, Vendetta City has their own as well, which is fantastic. It's so needed. So I'm really happy that we actually did get this thing built, even though it is a little smoggy. But
right.
It was a good experiment, and I really liked doing this Let's Play. I think it was a good idea for us to build the feeder city for those main, power, water, and sewage benefits, especially at the beginning. Highly recommend that to you guys. I think it's a good tactic, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, keep that in mind, guys, for the future. And again, this is going to mark the end of these few cities right here, as we've got the Arcology up. Be on the lookout soon for sort of that more baseline tutorial, as well as some more fun stuff with SimCity down the line, and of course Terraria and Starbound coverage as that stuff becomes available. Thank you guys so much for your support, and we'll see you soon.